Happy Labor Day weekend. Yes. I want to talk to you today about labor. Specifically about a labor of love. My dad had a labor of love. My dad was an easygoing man. He was loving and kind and gentle. He loved to make people laugh. His labor of love was spreading laughter and joy. Dad would say, "Let me tell you one." Then he would proceed to tell a funny story or a joke, and everybody in the room would laugh. You'd look over at Dad, and his smile was shining so bright the world could see it. It was his labor of love, his gift from God to make other people laugh. In his final years, Dad suffered from a little dementia. And he'd say, "Let me tell you one." And then he might tell you the same joke 3 or 4 times during the day. But each and every time we laughed like it was the first time we heard it, because it was his joy to make you laugh. So what is your labor of love? What do you do in your life for the pure joy of doing it? A labor of love will bring joy into your life. It'll bring joy into your home. Laughter and joy will strengthen all of your relationships. It will change your perspective. Laughter and joy will bring love into your life. People enjoy being around happy people. That's just a fact. Stress, pressures, division, tension, that'll all bring you down. If you're walking around with a sourpuss, smile. Because laughter and joy is spiritual warfare. When we live joyfully on purpose and bring laughter into our life intentionally, it will heal you. Joy affects us mentally. It shows in your attitude, in your outlook. It affects us physically. When we are joyful, we increase our feel-good hormones, the endorphins and the serotonin, 85%. The cortisol reduces in our body and the serotonin increases. Science has proven that really does heal our human bodies. We have had Dr. Natalie Trent right here on this platform showing us the Harvard University research that proves that. Laughter is like medicine for your soul, medicine for your body, medicine for your mind. When we are stressed, discouraged, or solemn, we're producing hormones that keep us sick. Stop it. What did I say? Stop it. Sickness is not your final story. Find a reason to laugh. Take your medicine every day. Your medicine of laughter and joy. Another side effect of a sense of humor and living every day with love and joy and laughter is it'll keep you young. You'll look better. I promise. Stand in front of a mirror in the morning. Take a good look at yourself. Then notify your face that you're happy and smile. You look younger, don't you? You look younger. Look at someone near you right now and smile. Now see, both of you are smiling. Now look how good you look. We're the best looking congregation in St. Petersburg right now. On his 80th birthday, my dad was asked by my little brother, "So Dad, how does it feel to be 80? Without missing a beat, Dad said, "Well, it feels okay. But next time around, I believe I'll do it as 240s. So my dad just made you all laugh. My dad loved to fill a room with laughter. So never lose that child within you, That childlike wonder is your God self showing. That's part of what Leslie is teaching us with LG right down that hallway. Your spirit self is ageless. We talk ourselves into being old. Oh, we got to be responsible. I got to go to work. Yeah. And then we get drugged down and we get sour and we get grumpy. But our spirit self that dwells right here inside our heart center, it never ages. When I was 18 and in college, I learned a lesson from my mama that is still with me today, and I've remembered it my entire life. And I'm much more than 18 now. So I'd gone home for the weekend from college, and Mom said, will you take Mama to the grocery store? So I went and got Mama. We went to the grocery store. She had 2 bags of groceries. Now, my Mama, even though she was in her 80s, she was a very independent woman. So I knew better than to pick up both of those bags. So I left the light one and put a few of the other heavy things over in that other bag and left the light bag for her to carry. So she starts to pick it up, and this beautiful young man comes running up, says, let me get that, ma'am. And he picks up her bag, and then he holds the door for both of us as we go out. My mama doesn't say a word. She said, say thank you. But then she doesn't say a word to me. We get in the car, and we're about to drive off. And she said, well, Kimmy, I'm an old woman. I said, Memo, you're not an old woman. Why are you saying you're an old woman? She said, well, I know I'm an old woman because the people treat me like I'm an old woman. She said, you know, inside, I'm still that same 15-year-old girl that married your papa. Because we did that in Tennessee back, my Mema's day. Got married at 15. But yeah, so that's another story she told me later. But yeah, so inside, just think about it. Inside, you still have those same thoughts, those same feelings you had when you were a teenager. Because inside, our spirit self that's in our heart center doesn't age. It's ageless. It's always there. So never lose that child within you. If you find yourself living life like you just walked off the set of Grumpy Old Men, check yourself. You might have to retrain yourself. Put a smile on. Notify your face that you're happy and create some joy in your life. I'm not saying everything is always going to come up roses. We all experience challenges and difficulties in life. But we have a choice in how we react and respond to it. Like Ernest Holmes said, change your life, change your thinking, change your life. So start taking your daily medicine. I'm not talking about pharmaceuticals. I'm talking about joy and laughter. Laugh for the joy of laughing. You can't change something that already happened, but you can change how you respond to it. Laugh at yourself. Laugh with the people. Laugh with the people in your life. Start living your life with laughter and joy. You're going to look younger. You're going to look healthier. You're going to be healthier. You have, I have, we all have the one presence and the one power within us. We have the God and the Goddess within us, right there in our heart center, like a beautiful yin-yang symbol, perfectly balanced. Right there for us to call on at any time. Smile. Smile. Show the world. Look like you have God in you. God lives within all of us. And there is so much sadness in this world. Often we let difficulties, challenges, and stress trap us into living life weighed down, stressed out, heavy-hearted. God didn't create you to live like that. Living joyfully will boost your immune system. It'll lower your blood pressure. It'll bring you closer to God. So give your mind, give your body, and give your spirit a break and be happy. You disconnect yourself from God when you're heavy-hearted. Much of the stress of the day can be relieved with a lighthearted attitude. Don't let people you encounter steal your joy. Not family, not co-workers, not friends, not strangers in traffic, and especially not those strangers in the parking lot. Because we've all had that happen, hadn't we? We've been sitting there patiently waiting for the guy to pull out of the lot, and he saw us waiting, so he just took a little extra time. And we're saying, okay, that's all right. I'll just wait. And we're waiting, and he pulls out that way and goes this way, and somebody swoops right in behind him and takes that spot. We already claimed it. It was our spot. What was that person doing? Don't let them take your joy. Just bless them. Make up a story in your head how much they needed it more than you did. Yeah, they needed it more than me. So change your thoughts. Change your life. Ernest Holmes was onto something. Yes. Connect to your labor of love. You'll have a sparkle in your eyes. You'll be healthy. You'll be whole. So what is it? Your labor of love? Because I know you've been thinking about it. Yes, I know you've been thinking about it while I've been talking. But whatever it is, your labor of love it, enjoy it, and be joyful. No matter how improbable. If God put that thought with that small, still voice in your heart, it's yours to do and nobody else's. Dream your dream, no matter how improbable you may think it. I can talk to you about improbable. Imagine a little girl growing up on a farm in the Appalachian Mountains, running around, jumping over fences, climbing up in the rafters of the tobacco barn, because that was my happy place that Rebecca was talking about in meditation. I'd sit up in that rafters of the tobacco barn, and I could see everybody coming and going, and they didn't even know I was up there. So I could just sit up there, and it was just a peaceful place for me to climb and go. And then I would run around the farm, jumping up, tagging tree limbs, just for the joy of seeing how high could I jump. How high could I jump up there? But then my family moved to the city. Not a city by these standards, but a city by Tennessee standards. Yeah. So, and in gym class one day, our teacher said, we're all going to learn to high jump. And I said, what's that? Because I'd never been exposed to organized sports. I grew up pretty isolated out on the farm. But that day when she taught us how to high jump, she kept going, and then I was the only one jumping. And I looked around, nobody else is jumping, just me. Well, I broke the school record during that day. And so, laughing with joy, I told the teacher, I said, I love this. One day I'm going to be the best in the world at this. I love it. Now that, my friend, is improbable, but not impossible, because that little girl grew up. She held an American record. She held an NCAA record that still stands today, 40 years later. So if you hear that small, still voice within you, and God puts that labor of love in your heart, believe it. And in closing, I'll say, God will open doors that no one can shut.
I would say that gal, that wonderful minister, Reverend Kimberley, she is so ready for Carnegie Hall. There you go. There you go. You know, with all the conversation going on around the storm and the hurricane, I was reflecting upon a couple of years ago when Barbara and I were at a resort, and it's about the time with Hurricane Harvey and Texas and all that. And so our weather conditions were pretty rough, and we kept losing our power. And it went on like throughout the afternoon, and first it was no big deal, but then the longer the day went, it's like, no, we need to call somebody. So we found a maintenance director and got him on the phone and said, hey, we've gone quite a period of time now without our power. Would you, call the power company? We don't have a number and we don't have Wi-Fi to look it up. And he said, I don't know how to get in touch with them. I'm like, maintenance director, power, electricity, okay then. But as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about for all of us how often we allow the external circumstances that we forget that we don't know how to get in touch with something so much greater than we are. And we tend to give the power to the condition and the circumstances or to the weather before we are looking at the possibility of making a command to the universe that we are here to make a mighty noise, we are here to be heard, and we're here always to pray up. And I think that's very important. We probably could talk about prayer even more than we do, because it's not just something, because you're in church, we're supposed to mention the word prayer. It's not like, it's a thing that people do in the privacy of their own home. It's an activation always of a knowing that is within you. And so prayer is an opening of the door that, as Kimberly said, can't ever be closed. But any situation you have in your life, if you're just praying to get through that situation, then you are going to still have the situation that you're trying to get through. Right? Because you're praying to stay at the level that you're already at. And Maslow would call that the survival level. You want to learn to be in the practice of your solution being so big that you have to grow some in order to achieve and to receive that possibility, right? And you want to reach so much higher than just the ordinary. And we don't need to keep telling, as someone said on a poster, we don't need to keep telling God how big our problems are. We need to tell our problems how big our God is. And you want to continue to grow in that energetic field. And even when you don't feel it's happening, you continue to work on yourself. You continue to practice working with the law so you may become more expansive. It's wonderful to listen to our leaders here that stand in front of this room and use affirmative language and use truth that is non-stoppable, isn't it? It's really exciting. And I think it's very important for all of us that we realize that we are the message many times that someone's waiting on. You ought to be the first name on someone's phone, that your name is on there because they say, I'm going to contact her because I've got to go to the doctor today and they're going to give me a diagnosis and I got to call her because by the time I get over there, they're going to tell me there's no reason for me to be there. I'm going to call so-and-so because I want them to pray up for me because they have a reputation of creating miracles around them. I mean, isn't that the point to all this? Is this the point to all of it? That you're the best mortgage broker, that you are the most dynamic, well-known realtor, that you are the greatest preacher, that you are the best parent, that you are the greatest grandparent, that you have a reputation about the labor of love that you are putting out there all around. You are the best builder in the city. And that's the part that we hold to be true. For me, I've always wanted to be the best me, meaning to be open to let Spirit guide my life. Not my personality, but to let Spirit guide my life. And that meaning that I spoke last week in Los Angeles at a prison. And it was planned for me to be there. And because I was coming, they also invited some of the serial killers to come and listen to my talk. And I didn't know one person from the other, and I believe that's probably a good thing. But but in that space of that, I did not take a canned speech. I'm not that kind of person. Delator knows. I don't take like a 20-minute canned speech, and everywhere I go, my luggage is different, but my talk's the same. People say, God, that person gave such a good talk. I went, well, they ought to. They do it 220 times a year. If you're not good at it, you need to go do something else, right? But for me, it was like, here I am, okay, with my fancy clothes and, my Uber and, my hair fixed, pretty good. And like, how is that? And I'm talking to people that are in these walls that who knows how long they're going to be in. And I went to contact the power within me because I do know how. And I said, allow this space that we may meet in the heart of Namaste. And it was so interesting. And that is what's so interesting, not just for me, but for you. When you stop giving the same canned answers to situations in your life and you say, okay, Spirit, show me something I've never done before. It's like you're entertained because you get to be surprised. You're kind of watching like, is this really happening? Like, whoa, and I'm involved in this. Wow, it's incredible. An interesting thing with me is I'm very picky about the words I use. I do not use profanity. The last time I did, years ago, even the dogs left the house because they went, oh my God, the house is going to fall. That is not my choice. I'm not an advocate for it. I'm not okay with it. Please don't do it around me. I think it is tacky. And I think I think the angels disperse when you use profanity, when you make a claim that you are so spiritual. Now you know how I really feel. So anyway, I don't care who does it that's popular. I don't care what movie star does it. That does not give me permission to do it. Kinesiology, you test yourself, your energy goes down in your body. To me, self-esteem and confident people do not use those choices of words. So now you know even how I really, really feel. So I know I'm running out of time. So anyway, that said, I don't ever use the word hate, maybe once a year. Because you save special words. Because if you just go around using words all the time, blah, 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 like this, oh, that aggravates me, oh, I'm so, blah, 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 blah. When you do really feel passionate about something, nobody pays you any attention. Because you're just doing that all the time, right? So I don't use the word hate. So here I am, and I'm in front of all these prisoners, and I've asked Spirit, guide me. And I start talking. And I said, so you might wonder why do I feel that I can sit in a room with you? Well, here's one reason. When I was 13, my father walked in on myself and an older woman, and I went from being his favorite daughter to being a thing. I went from being my grandmother's favorite granddaughter to, I'm not going to see you in heaven. And I said, and that was not an easy journey for me. But I got to tell you, I must say that I was connected to Spirit even then, and I said, I refuse to hate myself, but what I realized is that I hated about me the things that people hated about me. Did you make a connection with that? It wasn't that I would hate myself, because God does not make mistakes nor junk or anything that isn't of the most amazing invention at all. But I did learn how to hate what other people hated. That was my truth about me at that particular time. And so how does that affect you today? It affects you today because somewhere you may be carrying in you some kind of dismissive aspect about yourself because somebody along the way discounted it or made it dismissive about you. It's not you, the individual of who you are. It was an aspect about you that threatened some kind of aspect about them that had absolutely nothing to do with you at all. And you can let that go now. And as I told the prisoners, please hear this in the spirit that I mean it. In some ways, you're more fortunate because you know you're in prison. We see people all the time, they're in prison and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. They don't know they're in prison because there's so much available to them and they're not using the tools. There's so much power that they can capture, but they're not using it or praying up or seeking it or looking for it or asking to show up differently than the same old story one day after another. Are you with me in that? And so we learn then to step into a greater place of who we are and what is possible for our lives. Let all that go. Let all identification that other people have ever had of you Go and allow yourself to see all the things new about you that even you are yet to discover. It's extremely exciting, extremely exciting. And so in closing, I just want to share a cute little story about a man. He goes to a church, and he's dressed with blue jeans, and they've got holes in them, and his boots look pretty rugged, and he's wearing a cowboy hat, and he walks into this sophisticated church on the sophisticated side of town, and everybody's all dressed up. And so when he walks in and he takes his seat, all the people around him, they kind of move. And so as he's exiting and he's out in the lobby, the minister said to him, "It was nice having you here today, but before you come back again, I think it would be advisable for you to talk to God and see what attire you're supposed to be wearing here." So, Rebecca, yeah, right, okay. So anyway, he comes back the following Sunday, and he's wearing pretty much the same kind of clothing. And the minister said, "Hey, wait a minute, I saw you last week. I thought I asked you to go home and ask God what kind of attire would be appropriate for you to wear to this church." And the man said, "You know what? I did. But God said he had never been here." Are you right? That's right. That's real right. So wherever you are walking and talking, make sure that people know God's there. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.